Now at 10 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, the blame game on Capitol Hill after both Republican and Democratic funding plans collapse in the Senate.
11 false threats reported across Victoria ISD schools, the district's response to this dangerous trend.
And Victoria County Animal Services faces a crisis, the heartbreaking decisions ahead.
We'll be talking about something unusual. Two hurricanes side by side, 400 miles together off the East Coast. Fortunately, they're moving away from land, and I'll have your 7-day forecast coming up.
And Victoria West battles Kerrville-Tivy in a district battle this Friday. We'll give you the full rundown of this game later on.
You're watching 25 News Now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shauna Curry.
And I'm Don Brubaker. Victoria ISD is taking a large number of false threat incidents seriously. The Victoria County Sheriff's Office reported 11 incidents throughout the district this school year. The threats come from various elementary, middle, and high schools. Victoria ISD Superintendent Sheila Cayazo says any threat, whether it's an actual threat or a prank, will be reported to the school resource officer. The officer will then investigate the threat and take appropriate action if it's deemed criminal. This can apply to children as young as 10 years old.
In any of our campuses is going to be investigated and processed as it should be. If you think about it, the alternative of not investigating would not be good.
Collazo urges parents to educate their children on the seriousness of false threats. It could lead to them being placed in jail. Potholes are a nuisance, but they can also damage cars, drain wallets, and frustrate drivers. We're taking a closer look at where they're popping up. Today we found these at Waterford and Sundance Drive. Show us the pothole or potholes that are hindering your commute. Is it causing issues for your vehicle or just an eyesore? Email us a picture to staff@crossroadstoday.com.
Victoria County Animal Services is out of space and time. An ongoing case has filled the kennels past capacity, and now the shelter is facing heartbreaking decisions, including possible euthanasia. Director Mark Sloat says they need fosters and adopters right now to save lives. Even a short-term foster can make a huge difference, and adopting a dog today can open shelter space. You can contact Victoria County Animal Services for more information.
DeWitt County has its own issues with stray animals throughout its streets. Residents claiming towns like Nordheim and Yorktown are filled with strays that cause problems. Many left after being neglected or abandoned by their owners. DeWitt County Sheriff Carl Bowen says there are consequences for owners if any abandoned animal causes personal injury or property damage. He advises all residents to take other measures before possibly facing those consequences.
Really all comes down to just being a good neighbor, to doing reasonable practices that that you would expect, whether you're financially or physically unable to care for them. There are organizations that will allow you to release the custody of that animal to them and allow them the opportunity to at least try to find them a proper home.
There are reports of a dog abandoned in a home with puppies over the weekend in DeWitt County. Sheriff Bowen told us the dog was found dead and the puppies were picked up. He expects charges to be levied for animal neglect, but this is an ongoing investigation, and the DeWitt County Sheriff's Office will release more information as available.
A surprise visitor kicked up some excitement in Bastrop, Texas today. A dust devil spinning its way across an open field. Caught on camera by a passing driver, the swirling column of dirt danced through the dry landscape, twisting and turning before fading out just as it reached Highway 304. Bastrop, just southeast of Austin, got a brief and very Texas weather show. And no rain in our forecast either, but hopefully not quite that dry either.
Yes, but we also have in just a few minutes an Ozone Action Day. So Mac Pettis, tell us more about what we're facing tomorrow for the whole Wednesday.
Yeah, it's not normal for us. I mean, it happens very rarely, but for the big cities, it happens all the time. Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, and Victoria County is included by the TCEQ under an Ozone Action Day. In other words, we pollute every day, but the wind blows it away. Well, there's not going to be enough wind to blow it away. So as a result, people with sensitive conditions like asthma, emphysema, anything like that's a breathing problem, are encouraged to stay indoors, lock the doors, do the internal thing and not be outside too much. I mean, it's not a major problem. It's unusual for us, but we got one of those, and that's what's happening for tomorrow. We'll talk more about it and take a look at those tropical storms coming up in a few minutes. Back to you.
Well, the government is now seemingly heading towards a shutdown within the hour after funding votes failed in the Senate tonight.
The Senate expected to vote again tomorrow, but it remains unclear whether anything changes. ABC's Johnny Fernandez reports.
Both Republican and Democratic plans to fund the government failed in the Senate, making a shutdown all but certain at 12:01 a.m. Wednesday. The Democratic plan, which would have extended Affordable Care Act subsidies and reversed cuts to Medicare and Medicaid, fell along party lines 47 to 53. Moments later, the Republican back clean bill failed 55 to 45.
The bill upon reconsideration is not passed.
2 Democrats and an independent supported the proposal, and 1 Republican opposed it. Lawmakers on both sides were quick to point the finger of blame.
The Democrat caucus here in town, in the Senate, has chosen to shut down the government over a clean, nonpartisan funding bill.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says Republicans will now have to negotiate with Democrats.
Their bill, they call it clean, we call it totally partisan. There was no input from Democrats. Not a single line in their bill had input from Democrats.
President Trump tonight posting on his social media pictures of his meeting Monday with congressional leaders with a hat on his desk that reads Trump 2028. The president warning of program cuts, layoffs, and reduced benefits, but hasn't specified which programs would be affected.
We can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like.
Up to 4 million federal workers could go without pay, and many may have to scale back on essentials like food, bills, and school expenses.
We need the government to stay open so that we don't have to live off our credit cards, that we don't have to take multiple loans just to pay our mortgage, to pay our daily necessities.
After the Senate votes failed, President Trump's budget director posted on X that federal employees should still report to work to help carry out an orderly shutdown. Johnny Fernandez, ABC News, New York.
Local Representative Michael Cloud says the clean bill was a stopgap measure passed by the House that would have kept the government open through November 21st. It also would have locked in billions of dollars in taxpayer savings and protect rural hospitals, Texas farmers, and homeless veterans. Senator John Cornyn is blaming Senate Democrats for the looming government shutdown, saying they rejected the clean funding bill passed by the House. Cornyn accuses Democrats of playing political games, putting federal workers, including Border Patrol and the military, at risk of missing paychecks. Cornyn says it's time for Democrats to negotiate in good faith and warns they could face consequences at the polls if they don't. The Texas Farm Bureau says a government shutdown could hit farmers and ranchers hard, disrupting key USDA services like disaster aid, conservation programs, and livestock health checks. President Russell Baning says producers are already facing high costs and market uncertainty and cannot afford more delays. He is urging Congress to act quickly to avoid unnecessary hardship in rural communities.
Federal funding for public media has officially run out. Today marked the end of the government's fiscal year, and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting is now laying off staff and winding down operations. Over the summer, Republicans in Congress pulled back $1 billion in public media funding, forcing NPR and PBS affiliates to cut staff, limit travel, and scale back programming. The CPB warns many rural stations may not survive without federal support.
Well, some big smiles and little learners at FW Gross this week as the Early Education Center unveiled a brand new outdoor classroom. Thanks to a $50,000 grant from the Victoria ISD Education Foundation, the space now features garden beds, music and art stations, even a stage for performances. It's all designed for hands-on learning, perfect for the school's 3-year-old pre-K students. Teacher Catherine Broomfield says the space and a brand new fence are helping show the community that FW Gross is proud to be part of the neighborhood. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, the president calls major U.S. cities unsafe and promises action. The military deployment facing legal challenges.
Also ahead, President Trump announces a major drug pricing breakthrough with Pfizer, the deal that could lower your medication costs.
Our military hero of the month is U.S. Army Specialist 4th Class Joseph Halapaska. The Halapaska family came to the Crossroads about 1910, and they have been a well-known name ever since then. They had 8 children. The family photo of the boys goofing around on this Model T will give you some idea. The mother of the family, Annie Halapaska, would bake wedding cakes at home for extra income during hard times. Then in 1953, the family opened the Halapaska Bakery, and a legend was born. All of the Halapaska children went to St. Joseph's Academy.
Father Otto was the priest. He was pretty strict. He took care of the grass, and if you walked on his grass, then you got to write on the bulletin board, "I shall not walk on the grass."
So it appeared that Joseph had a happy childhood. Lots of family, lots of friends, and a mother with a gift for pastries. But in 1966, Joseph got his draft notice for Vietnam.
Well, it wasn't a career choice. Somebody told me I was going, and so you had a choice of going or running off to Canada, and I don't think anybody was running off to Canada in '66, but I would never considered it anyway. My folks would have disowned me.
A door gunner on a Huey helicopter was one of the hellish jobs in Vietnam, shooting and not knowing who was shooting at you.
What I'm kind of interested in is, I was a door gunner, and anytime we'd come in for a landing, we had this big zone out there, and door gunners would fire into the tree line, just to build our courage, if nothing else. Meathead behind me, he had never been out before. He was scared. He put a round, bounced off my damn helmet.
Only recently, Joseph published a book with all of his memoirs from his war service. It took him almost 50 years to put all that down.
She was the one that finally got me to go to the VA in 2015. But that was a long time after coming back. They helped me almost from where to go.
Today, the Veterans Administration and doctors in general know a lot more about how to treat PTSD, a condition that was not even recognized as a problem for almost 100 years. As far as Joseph is concerned, putting it all on paper and out of his mind was beneficial. Other veterans would probably relive similar events. Citizens have a chance to read about why so many of our veterans have troubled memories and how you can help find a way forward. For his service as a door gunner and for putting all those thoughts down on paper, this memoir could help others finally come home. Joseph Halapaska is our military hero of the month. If you know a veteran and you want to tell us their story, go to crossroadstoday.com/militaryhero and let us know. I'm Maclovio Perez, 25 News Now.
President Trump plans to send troops to Portland and the National Guard to Memphis as part of a broader crime crackdown.
But some city leaders are pushing back, especially after President Trump called certain U.S. cities dangerous and suggested using them as military training grounds. Sherelle Hubbard has more.
President Donald Trump spoke to a gathering of military generals and admirals in Quantico, Virginia on Tuesday. That's where he gave his latest threat.
San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places, and we're going to straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war, too. It's a war from within.
He also suggested using American cities as training sites for the military and National Guard. The president went on to speak about seeing news coverage of troops being spit on. He said in part the new policy should be, quote, "They spit, we hit."
Portland, don't take the bait.
Oregon filed an emergency motion in federal court Monday seeking a temporary restraining order to block the president's deployment of federal National Guard troops to Portland.
The president is planning to distract from all the terrible things he's doing across the country, 8 months of making the country sicker and poorer, and he wants to distract with this type of stimulation of violence that he can then use violence to justify more authoritarian control.
Portland is one of the latest cities to be targeted by the Trump administration. But in Illinois, where the Trump administration is preparing to deploy 100 military troops, the same sentiments are echoed.
This is not about safety. This is not about immigration. This is about fomenting chaos and terrorizing the people of Chicago and cities across America.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
Some lawmakers are backing the Trump administration's crime crackdown.
Tennessee Governor Bill Lee thanked Trump for federal help in Memphis, while Louisiana's governor is asking for 1,000 National Guard troops to tackle crime there. Well, parents can now exercise some control over ChatGPT conversations. OpenAI says it has launched parental controls and a parent resource page to offer guidance on how ChatGPT works. The controls allow parents to link their account to their teens so they can customize age-appropriate settings. OpenAI says it worked with advocacy groups like Common Sense Media to develop the latest parental controls.
President Trump says Pfizer will lower prices on several of its medications in the U.S. They're the first drug maker to respond to his push for most favored nation pricing. Pfizer will also launch direct-to-consumer sales through a new website called Trump RX and commit $70 billion to research, development, and U.S. manufacturing. President Trump had pressured 17 major drug companies to match prices paid overseas or face tariffs. No comment yet from Pfizer. Older adults are spending more time than ever in emergency rooms, and it's putting their health at risk.
With more, here's ABC's Melissa Adon.
A new study in JAMA Internal Medicine found that when seniors visit the emergency department, they have longer waits than in the past before they are seen and admitted. The longer they wait for medical attention, the greater the risk for complications like delirium and even death. Researchers say wait times have gotten especially long at bigger hospitals. In 2024, nearly 1 in 5 older patients spent more than 8 hours in the ER. But at large academic hospitals, that number climbed to 30%. The reason for ER delays is most likely a strained system. There are more patients, more complex cases, and not enough staff and resources. Experts say the fix will take some major systematic changes. If you have a real emergency, don't wait. Head to the ER immediately. But if your condition isn't life-threatening, consider visiting an urgent care facility or your doctor. With this Medical Minute, I'm Melissa Adon.
Hurricanes Humberto and Imelda are churning in the Atlantic, and their outer bands are slamming North Carolina's coast. In Buxton on the Outer Banks, rough surf and flooding already caused 5 homes to collapse. The National Weather Service warns waves could reach up to 12 feet above normal, with water levels rising 3 feet higher than usual. Look at all of that damage.
And that's because it wasn't a direct hit. That was just the outer edges of it. Well, folks, good evening. We're looking at 76 degrees right about now. Quite a bit of sunshine today. That helped us get up to 93. That's not exactly where we're supposed to be. Well, okay, 88 is our average, so it's slightly above But tomorrow is the beginning of October. You'd think we'd get some cooling weather. We'll talk about that coming up in a moment. Well, good evening, everybody. Yes, lots of sunshine. Of course, in the dry air, that makes it nice and comfortable in the morning, but it also heats it up in the afternoon. It's kind of like what happens in the desert, you know. In Phoenix at night, it's chilly, but in the daytime, it's blazing. So that dry air is what we have to deal with because high pressure still on top of us. We had that band of cloud cover that rolled through, didn't amount to much. It's pretty much gone. I look to the northwest. Here's where the big Pacific storms roll in with rain and snow. They carry a lot of moisture. The storms that come due south from the North Pole, they're fairly dry. I mean, they're cold, but they're dry. This one brings in a lot of moisture, so it's going to be a good big snowfall for the Northwest and the Rockies, and then eventually it gets into the plains. Hopefully that front will make it into our area, but at this point in time, it's a good 7 days away. Meanwhile, we're watching everything that's going on the East Coast because of the two tropical storms that are basically back to back. As we mentioned earlier, we have an ozone action day tomorrow. That means that the pollution that we create is going to be broken down by the sun. We don't have enough wind to blow it away, and so we're going to have a high ozone level. Now, ozone is not a good thing. It's an O3 for you chemical guys, but for all of the large metropolitan areas, interestingly, I don't know, maybe it's a mistake, Houston's not in it, but San Antonio, Austin, and Dallas are definitely in it. Maybe they have a little bit more wind, but they included our county. And so if you have sensitivity in your lungs, like a bronchial illness or bronchitis or emphysema, something like that, it's encouraged that you just stay indoors and not be out breathing all that stuff that's going to be out there. So in the weather world, we have a lot of big words, and there's a big word, it's called this. This is called the Fujiwara effect. Basically, a vortex and another vortex that close to each other begin to interact. And so one goes this way, one goes that way. Well, this is Humberto, and you can see how it's picking up Imelda, and Imelda is going to be going under it as opposed to over it. In a matter of fact, in a couple of days, these two things are going to merge into one storm system. Fortunately, it's pulling away from the Carolinas after causing quite a mess along the coast, but the two storms did not hit landfall. So somewhere about here in the mid-Atlantic, they're probably going to merge into one storm and then go that way. What happens after that, what the name of that is going to be, it's all anybody's guess right about now. So let's take a look at our weather. Last radar, you can see how it rained all the way from Florida to the Carolinas, where they got the heavy rainfall, and of course the surf and the wind. Here's a good example of it right there. That's a 24-hour loop, and you can see how Humberto goes up, and then Imelda starts going under it. Right about there, okay? And so they're going to be doing this little dance across the Atlantic, and then they become one. Isn't that awesome? Anyway, let's take a look at our forecast for tomorrow in Port Lavaca. It's going to be gorgeous. Lots of sunshine. Temperatures on the warm side getting up to about 94, so no significant wind. That's kind of the problem. And 96 in Cuero as a warm afternoon high. Dry weather for Wednesday, Thursday, but humidity rolls back in Friday, and over the weekend just a small garden variety chance of getting some sort of light afternoon showers. I don't think it's going to be enough to get you excited. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. We're not talking football, we're talking volleyball. Here's Max.
That's right, Mac. We got Tuesday night volleyball action here. We got a couple of games we're going to highlight and a couple of scores. All that coming up next. All right, so yesterday at home, you guys voted the most intriguing game there for Week 6 will be between the Victoria West Warriors facing the Kerrville Tivy Antlers. And guess what? I don't disagree with you all fans because this matchup's going to be a good one because West is undefeated right now at 5-0, while Tivy heads in at 4-1. And last year, West was undefeated there at this point in time as they beat Tivy at home 45-26. And they're looking to have similar results because, again, they got that trio of running backs, Genesis Jeffries, Brody Flores, and Andrew Henley. But their quarterback as well, and Nolan Boyce, has been effective using his arm and legs. And again, he's going to find top wide receiver targets in Aiden DeLeon and Cage Raddick there. See if they can get some big time plays on the offensive side. Now on defense, they've stepped up as well under new defensive coordinator Ryan Montavo, and Jacob Freeman is leading the way there for the Warriors there with at least 12 tackles for loss here this season to start up so far. And again, they're going to try to stop an Antlers offense who scored over 40 points in all their 4 victories, including that game against San Antonio Harlandale there last week for their district opener. So we'll see if that is the case there this Friday night. Now over to Tuesday night volleyball, where we've got 2 games we wanted to highlight here for tonight. We're going to start with the St. Joseph Lady Flyers as they face St. Mary's Hall. And the Flyers, they battled out a winning in 4 sets there, 25-17. They would lose the second set, 25-22, but then they would win 28-26 and then 25-20. Zoe Henning led the way with, yes, 65 assists there tonight there for Zoe Henning, which is incredible to think about. Bailey Montgomery had, again, 30 kills and then 9 blocks. So the offense was clicking there for St. Joe. And Jordan Johnson had 19 digs and 19 kills. So Lady Flyers, they're only going to have a couple days off because they battle St. Joseph Academy Bloodhounds this Thursday at 3 p.m. Now the number 1 team out there in the 3A ranks, the Goliad Tigerettes. They faced the Poth Pirates for a district battle at home. They would win in straight sets as Addison Gendry and Carolyn Youngblood led the way both on offense and defensive sides. And again, for the Tigers, they're going to be back in action on Friday as they're going to be facing Luling at home. Now over to some quick scores. Victoria West Warriors win in straight sets there over Lamar Consolidated Mustangs out there in the Houston area, 25-8, 25-18, and 25-17. Emily Parker had 17 kills tonight, and then Bella Bazell had 10 kills, 13 digs. And West, they're going to be going back out to Houston to face Fort Bend Kebner this Friday at 6 p.m., which actually face Victoria East there tonight in this battle. And again, for Victoria East, they won this one in 4 sets, and they officially now improved to 6-1 in district play as Camry King had 15 kills there tonight, along with Jade McIntosh having 14 assists and 21 digs in total. The Titans are off this Friday, but they're going to face Randall on Tuesday there next week. Now from the court over to the pool, where the Victoria Aquatic Center hosted a VISD tri-match that was held with Victoria East, West, and El Campo swim teams. And again, in the end, El Campo on the girls' side would win there for 102 points, with on the boys' side, they would get the win there for Victoria West, having 124 points in total, with El Campo finishing in second on the boys' side. that. Now some individual results went out to Gloria Palmer for Victoria West, winning the 100-yard backstroke with a time of 1 minute and 22 seconds. And then Maximus Gabbert won out there for Victoria West, winning the 500-yard freestyle. And then William Gabbert won the 50-yard freestyle for West with a time of 23:62. And after tonight's contest, I caught up with Gabbert to highlight what are some other records he hopes to break this season and work towards.
Break our records with my relay. Like the previous year we broke the 400 relay with my 3 senior buddies, but they're all gone, so it sucks. But this year we got 2 seniors, a junior, and probably a sophomore. So feeling pretty comfortable. We're all pretty close in times from last year. So I think we can break it again, and hopefully that's fast enough for us to go state.
Now, he did mention, like I said, that he did lose a couple of players there for Gabbert. That means, though, he's still going to get the job done because they got a lot of work, though, because, again, it gets into February where it gets in the districts and their regionals. And Sonny Taylor also for East, he mentioned he wants to get back in action as well on the boys' side. So, again, we'll keep going with both of these teams later down the road. And that's going to do it here in sports. Don, Shauna, back to you.
Max, thank you, and stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, we'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, the town's most famous sculpture sparks debate again, why some call it art and others call it ugly.
Tonight, stay up for me and Colbert. Oh man, I hope they put out the plastic ketchup bottles at the White House tonight.
Well, this may look like a hospital, but it's not. It's Miss Ellis's first grade classroom near Chattanooga, Tennessee. Her students are learning about their bodies and the medical field. She says it's important to do hands-on learning and make things look real. Local healthcare professionals have even gotten in on the act as well. Doctors, nurses, EMS workers, they've all volunteered their time to come into the classroom and help the children learn about different careers in the medical field and different, biology lessons. So pretty neat.
Cool. Yeah, great idea. Here comes the nanny. Actress Fran Drescher is now part of Hollywood history. The actress was honored with a star on the Walk of Fame today. She's best known for her iconic role as Fran Fine in, of course, The Nanny, a series she also helped create and produce. Drescher was nominated for Emmys and Golden Globes, starred in films, written bestsellers, and advocated for cancer awareness. She is a cancer survivor. Her star in the motion pictures category is number 2,822 to be added. And we're
her
about.
Her voice is iconic as well.
Oh yes, very well.
Shauna, can you do her laugh?
No.
Oh, very good, very good. You know, as we're looking up to the stars tonight, we have to know that tomorrow's an ozone action day and be ready for that.
We do have that issue tomorrow. If you, it's called unhealthful air for sensitive people. If you have emphysema or some sort of breathing problem tomorrow, with the ozone level as it's going to be, you're encouraged to stay indoors. I mean, it's not. I mean, you can cross the street, go to the car, but it's not good to be out there breathing all that stuff that's going to be cooked by the atmosphere. Otherwise, we've got dry air and lots of sunshine through the weekend, and by Friday, Saturday, you'll start picking up a little moisture, but looks like a pretty good weekend for what's going on downtown?
Tejas Fest.
Tejas Fest. Yes, all right. You're going to be down there too, Don, right?
That's right.
Wearing
from 2
your
to
cowboy
3,
hat?
From 2 to 3, something like that. 2 to 3 on Saturday with my better half. So come on out and see us.
Come on out.
Yeah.
Well, a familiar sculpture in downtown Appleton, Wisconsin is back in the spotlight, but this time for all the wrong reasons. The Fox River Oracle has greeted visitors for nearly 40 years, but it just landed on a national list of the top 100 ugliest public artworks, coming in at number 68. The piece by world-renowned artist Dimitri Hadzi has faced criticism since its debut. Some say it looks like a strange horse, some a pile of rocks. I can see kind of the horse reference. Still, local art advocates say if it's sparking conversation, it's doing its job.
It's art.
Ugly or not.
It's not supposed to make sense.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us.
To Make Him Alive starts now.